was built to last. From the webs I'm weaving, I could change the past. Hook on achieving, got my foot on gas. Never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's good.
What's going on, everyone? Anthony from Chronometer Check here, and today I have for you guys probably one of the most renowned, excellent entry-level, affordable mechanical watch that one can possibly buy for the money. I mean, if you've done any research at all into affordable mechanical watches, it's almost undoubtable that you've come across the Orient Bambino. So today we're going to be doing an unboxing and slight review of the Orient second generation Bambino version 2. Now I believe there's 5 or 6 versions that have quite a few variations, each within their own respective version. So this is the version 2, and let's take a look at it. As you can see, Orient really spared no expense with the packaging. Luxury, amazingly, no. The packaging is whatever, it's obviously not great, but I'd rather that they, take that money and put it into the watch itself, of course. So here we have it, absolutely stunning. I mean, this watch is an absolute stunner. This is one of those watches that when you wear it, it just absolutely looks much more expensive than it really is. Now, as we can see, it does have some very nice indices. It does have rectangular indices paired with Roman numeral indices. Some may like that, some may hate that. I personally think it very nicely adds to the sort of Art Deco charm of the watch. It does have a rather subtle cream dial that has quite a bit of negative space, and that's maybe one of the cons that I'm going to get into in just a minute. But it does have a nice subtle cream dial that's a very nice shade. I mean, it just looks very, very classy, and it is paired with this contrasting blue handset that is obviously not, heated hands or anything. It's probably just painted at this price point, but that's absolutely fine, and it looks great. On 12 o'clock at the dial, we do see it says water resistant. Now this watch is only water resistant up to 100 feet or 30 meters. Not sure why they decided to put that claim on the watch itself, because that's really nothing to write home about. That'll serve you well for washing your hands, maybe light splashes in the rain. Honestly, I definitely could have done without that on the dial. I assume they just wanted to do it for balance and symmetry purposes, but there's probably many other things they could have written there instead. And we do have the Orient logo, which some people tend to hate. Personally, I think it does add a bit of needed visual interest to fill up some of the negative space in the dial itself. We do have a date wheel at the 3 o'clock position that is maybe a bit small if I'm being a bit nitpicky. Again, going back to the negative space of the watch itself. This is a rather large dress watch coming in at about 41 millimeters in diameter. So there is a lot of space on the dial that is a bit left unused, mainly due to the simplicity of the watch design itself. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Just consider that when you do consider that traditionally dress watches tend to be a little bit more smaller, but clearly not in this case, which I think is okay, because I think this is sort of a modern interpretation of a dress watch, which these days I think 40 millimeters, I would say, is probably maybe even on the smaller end in terms of just what you see in your day-to-day. Even though it might be on the average to maybe larger side for us watch enthusiasts. Now, housed inside the Orient Bambino is the in-house Orient F6722 movement with hacking and hand winding. The winding of the crown does feel just a bit gritty. It's not the smoothest hand winding action, but about what I'd expect from a watch that has an in-house movement on the more affordable end. And of course, it also does have hacking, so if you do pull out the crown all the way, the second hand stops. Not a huge deal. I mean, especially in these more affordable mechanical watches where the accuracy is kind of all over the place. Even if you do hack it to set the time precisely, over the course of a month or so, you're likely going to be a few minutes fast or slow just due to the general inaccuracy of a movement like this. And the accuracy is stated to be within -15 to +25 seconds per day. So again, not the most accurate, but that's okay. That's about within spec and what you could expect. No display caseback. I noticed that while Seiko does like to do some display casebacks, see-through casebacks, that is, on their more affordable pieces to kind of showcase those movements, Orient tends to prefer stainless steel casebacks for the most part, and what this does is that it actually allows them to keep the profile of the watch relatively thin, and this is quite a thin watch. Getting into dimensions, this watch does have a diameter of 40.5 millimeters, so again, about average, maybe slightly large for a classic dress watch, as this is styled after. Only 10 millimeters thick, which is really, really nice. Now that is accentuated a little bit by the domed crystal that really adds a nice touch of elegance and a little bit of nice distortion. Mineral crystal, so not the most scratch resistant obviously, but not that big of a deal. A 46 millimeter lug to lug width, which is very, very nice when you do wear it on the wrist. Doesn't really take up too much wrist presence, and I'm going to throw that on the wrist in just a second. And a unfortunate lug width of 21 millimeters, which is mine, and I believe many other people's. One of our biggest gripes about this watch is this very unusual, odd lug width of 21, which not only looks a bit awkward, dare I say a bit oversized and imbalanced for this watch. I think 20 millimeters would have suited this watch absolutely perfect proportionally. Even just finding 21 millimeter sized watch straps can be a bit difficult sometimes, as they're just not quite as available as either 20 or 22 millimeter watch straps. So the case is all polished on the top, which is a nice contrast to the brushing on the side. I do much prefer when a watch manufacturer does a combination of different finishes as opposed to doing either all brushed or all polished, which I think can make a watch look a little bit cheap. But when they do put a little bit of effort to add some nice contrast, I think it's a very nice touch, and it goes to say a lot about their attention to detail. Now from the top, the watch has just the right amount of bling thanks to the polished surface, and the brushing on the side does kind of even it out a little bit, keeps it a little bit subtle. Not the best brushing I've seen. Orient doesn't really put too much effort into their level of finish in this much more affordable type of piece. However, they do have watches that are much, much more well finished for even a couple of more $100 upscale, but for such an affordable piece, I really can't fault it. Now let's throw this watch on the wrist and let's see how it wears. Now throwing it on the wrist, the first thing that I noticed, as you can see, my little tag is flapping out. But this strap was absolutely horrendous to put on. I mean, it feels super cheap, as you'd expect with such an affordable watch. Honestly, this is going to be, I'm going to replace this within the hour as soon as I finish this video. It's that bad. I mean, if you have nothing else, it'll get the job done, and it's not completely uncomfortable once you actually do have it on, but even just, you know, fitting it into the keepers of the strap, I did feel some resistance, and it's just very, very low quality faux croc strap. So keep that in mind when you do factor in such an affordable price tag of the watch. You may end up have to factoring in another $20 or $30 for a decent strap to really get you a nice package. Stamped Orient buckle. I would honestly, maybe I'd hijack this buckle and throw it on a different strap, because the strap is just awful. Now on the wrist, the watch on 40.5 millimeters looks quite nice. I mean, it's a nice modern size that doesn't look too small, doesn't look too big, doesn't overhang on the wrist. As you can see, it has quite a nice low profile, so it easily fit under a shirt cuff if you are into business casual, or if you just like to be comfortable and throw your shirt over your watch. I kind of like when that happens, when my cuff just naturally slides over my watch, whereas some thicker watches can tend to get stuck. The sleeve can get stuck depending on where it is. So it looks nice and classy. I mean, you absolutely could wear this with a suit and it would look absolutely fantastic, and arguably a lot more expensive than it really is. All in all, I think despite the fact that this watch has been an absolute legend in the watch community for years, I think it's for good reason, and also it still holds true. Its legacy is absolutely upheld till this day. You know, for under $150, this is a watch that is absolutely smacking. Whether this is your only dress watch, whether you want an affordable dress watch to kind of add to your collection, whether you want just one really, really nice looking affordable mechanical watch to get you started, this is it. Whether you want a very nice classic gift for someone who might be in the market, this is it. I mean, check out Orient Bambino. I will put a link in the description below. They do have quite a large variety of different colors and styles, some with even different indices, and some with rose gold, a wide variety of styles. So definitely check that out. And with that said, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you did enjoy, subscribe for more reviews to come, and till next time.